Hello and welcome to this tutorial which will help teachers and students create audio stories using Garageband on your iPhone. After you get done watching this video, you should be able to use it as a tool to be able to incorporate all the music that you need to add that vibe, that energy to your stories. You should be able to figure out a couple different ways at least to record your narrator tracks that you're going to bring into your Garageband file. And you should be able to edit it and then export it and share it with the World Wide Web in whichever way that you need to use it. So, a little bit of background on me. I'm a journalism teacher, and one of the classes that I teach is broadcast journalism, and we're in the middle of COVID. This year I had to make a lot of decisions about how I wanted to teach this class, and one thing I knew was that I wasn't going to be swapping cameras back and forth and that we weren't going to be using the keyboards on the iMacs behind me to have to wipe them down after every student every time. I just wanted to try to keep things as safe as possible, so I already knew that I was probably going to point kids toward their cell phones. Every kid has one, and as it turns out, every kid in my class has an iPhone. Another thing that I thought about was that we really don't know day to day, at least week to week, whether we're going to be here on the next day, because COVID could intervene, and I really didn't want kids to have to go home to be able to try to figure out how to do a video broadcast story on their own, and because it's already challenging enough to try to do these things remotely. So I knew that the cell phone was the way that we were going to go, and looking through there, GarageBand is something that we use on our iMacs, but I have never really used it on my cell phone. I always thought it was too tricky. But I taught myself how to do it this fall with my students, and we've been having some success. So, before we get going too far into the details of how to use GarageBand, I thought I'd show you just a little bit briefly what we're doing in my class with my students. But you don't have to make podcasts the same way that we do in this class, or any of the projects that we do that I'm about to show you in the same way that I'm doing. I just want to show you this because you can use it to have kids do interviews with grandparents. You can have it to use speeches so that they're less stage fright inducing. Maybe have them do little podcasts of their own to put together. We use something called Anchor.fm to host what we do. Teachers can do this. Students, you can do this as well. So I'm going to do a little screen recording here on my iPhone, which is being a bugger. Here we go. Now we're working. So if I hit, it's going to count down, and I'm recording my screen right now. And I can then go to, let's see, we're going to just go to Google. We're going to surf out there. I was there just recently, so I'm just going to hit that. Okay, so this is our channel, kind of like a YouTube channel, but an audio channel, a podcast channel using Anchor.fm. Our team is called the Highline Online, and recently kids have been posting stories as we've been going, and here's one put out just a few days ago, men's and women's basketball preview.
Both Tiger teams are returning.
So Sam put this together.
Although the men's team lost 9 players from
So there's what's that. A nice thing about Anchor.fm is that it not only hosts on its own original site, but it links to other audio sharing sites like Spotify. So if I click on Spotify, which all my kids do, here it is right there. And I can click on that same story again and hit play.
Both Tiger teams are returning a significant amount of players this year.
And there it is. A couple of things you'll notice about this as you're listening to it in the background is that he's doing his audio narration, but he's also got music underneath. And that music is really what gives your story the energy, the vibe, the whole tone that you want to have. He picked the right thing to fit this basketball story, and that helps to tell the story more effectively. Then he gets down to the end and he just signs out.
Not in person. To make some noise on state this year and make a strong push to the championship games. This has been Sam from our entire Highline Online.
Okay, so he got that all pulled together, and he did a good job with it, as a lot of kids have done. Okay, so I'm going to stop screen sharing right there. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that when he was getting the music for that story, that first of all, he used Voice Memo to record his audio. Voice Memo is an app that is right there on your iPhone. All you have to do is open it up, hit record, and talk into it, and hit stop. And there it is right there. And then he imported that into GarageBand when he was done. The other thing that he did was he went to a website that had rights-free, copyright-free music that he could just download, and it fit the vibe of whatever it is that he wanted to do. He could search it by the mood, he could search it by the length. The site that he actually went to was studio.youtube.com. It's YouTube's channel for making YouTube videos, but also works great just for doing audio stories. There's thousands of songs on that site. And there are other websites that also host free tracks that you can use that are copyright free as well. Bensound, BENSOUND.com, Audionautics, NAUTIX.com, Jamendo.com, Purple-Planet.com, MuseOpen.org. All of those are sites that you can use. And you can download them on your phone and store them on your phone and bring them in. I honestly think it's easier if you have a laptop or a desktop to do it there and then send them to your phone and do it that way, because it seems like that big screen, the YouTube site especially, doesn't work so well from your phone. But that's the way that Sam pulled that off. Okay, so there you have it with the way Sam put together some music using websites, rights-free, copyright-free music that he could just incorporate into his audio story down the line. I'm going to show you how to use GarageBand now to do the same sort of thing. Get that vibe that you need to get that life in your story. So I'm going to turn on screen capture again. Okay, so I've got myself screen capturing, and I'm going to go into GarageBand for the first time. And when I go into GarageBand, you will see in the upper right, I have to tip it because it uses a horizontal platform. The little plus sign up above is how you make a new project. So I have two different paths I can go on. We're going to explore the live loops at top, but there's also tracks that we're going to use to make our audio story down the line. So live loops, different musical genres that are pre-installed on your GarageBand app, all different kinds of things. You can install more than what I have on here too. If I click on one, let's try electro funk. We're gonna go for some funky vibe. We got the instruments on the left, looks like two synthesizers and two track lines. And I know zip about music, really. Big fan of music, but can't create it beyond Oh Susanna on my harmonica. That's about it right there. So, what live loops is just what it says. Right now it's live, and if I want to record it, I have to hit that record button up above. So let's just play a little bit. Each one of these is an individual rhythm or beat. It automatically knows when to bring it in from the measures. It just, you really don't have to have the rhythm to get it right. It does it for you. Okay, so if I want to lay some special effects on this as I'm playing with it, I hit that FX button. On the left side corner, I can use my finger to kind of scroll through some digital overlays. Or repeat things on the right side. Or scratch like a DJ with that middle record, or use these little interval buttons on the left and right side. And if I want to record, I just hit the record button. It counts down. Let's go. Horrible. Okay, you get the point. Hit stop. And now, if I love that tune, because I've practiced it way more than what I just did right now, and I want to share it and use it in my audio story, there's an upper left-hand corner arrow right there. This is how you share your stories on all your projects. Click that little button once, hit My Songs. All your songs will go into here. If you push on this, hold it, My Song, I'm going to take it down to rename. I'm going to call it something like grab or something like that, because I'm going to grab it out of there maybe. Hit done. So there's grab. Again, I'm going to hold it. If I push up on this screen, you'll see share comes up. Hit share, And now I could use this in a project. I'm not using it in a whole multi-track thing, so that's not the right. I'm not going to use it as a ringtone. I'm just going to use it as a song. So I hit it as a song. I can choose the quality. I'm just going to hit share. I can put it where I want to put it, and I could email it, I could airdrop it, I could text it, I could put it in my notes, I could use it on social media. I'm going to put it in voice memo. That's a great spot to use, a great app to use actually for all your GarageBand stuff, because you just literally open it up and hit record and start talking or start recording, and then stop, and you can put that right in your project. I'll hit voice memo, and it's going right into that file. It's mixing it down, that lovely tune that I just made, using live loops. And when I get done with that, I get to save, and there's grab right there. When I get out of GarageBand then, and go to my voice memos, right at top is grab. There's that lovely creation, okay? So if I hit stop there, there it is. And I'm gonna stop on my screen capturing. It worked. I gotta tell you that right now it is 6 o'clock. I have been doing this for 2 hours trying to get screen grab to work. It finally worked. Little celebration in my mind. Okay, so now let's take this to the next level by actually reading a story and trying to do some voiceovers and putting it together into a GarageBand audio story. So, first I gotta turn on my screen recording, and then I will go and launch the GarageBand app again. I'm gonna go into that top right corner. There are many, we were in live loops before up above, but we're gonna go into tracks. So many digital instruments here that you can explore. It's what GarageBand probably has its name really, bread and butter of this app is all the crazy musical things that you can do, which I won't even begin to understand because I have not been trained. There's digital fretboards, digital keyboards, digital drums, all kinds of things. But we're gonna play with the audio recorder because that's how I do the audio stories in my broadcast journalism class, and that's how you could do it in your classroom or for your teachers. So if you click on voice, do not use the preset voice, the default voice. To change it, go to this little upper left hand corner arrow, click on that where it says lead vocals. It's horrible. It's got like reverb, sounds like a synth 80s flashback from hell. Trust me, I've been through it. And so click on it and go to, how about Radio Ready is pretty good. Oh, I don't know if I got it right. Yep, Radio Ready. So I got Radio Ready. I also need to add a little bit more time to this. It comes with just 8 bars, so I click on this little plus sign over here, and where it says 8 bars, I click on that, and I'm gonna hit the up. Well, my finger keeps hitting it down. So how about like 40, hit done. Okay, so now when I click, there's a little button here up above left. It looks like a brick wall. When I click that, I've got my microphone set up. I've got a space for me to start laying down my script when I read it. I need to turn my metronome off because if I start recording, it'll literally go tick-tock, tick-tock. Turn that off. If I hit record and read my script, we should see what happens. Here's a countdown. As UNI biology professor Jane Doe creeps stealthily along the edge of a backwater slough in Katowski Woods, sapphire and emerald damselflies are darting through the mists along the woody bank as they scoop midges and gnats in mid-flight. The air is heavy with humidity as temps have climbed to near 100 degrees. Doe is just 5 minutes walk from her Toyota Prius parked back along Ridgeway Avenue, but it feels like she's a day's hike into a remote jungle as she notches another discovery onto her list of 2020 adventures in the natural world. I hit stop, I hit that little brick wall thing, and there it is. You can see the waveform of all the patterns. If I pinch, I can see in more detail if I need to do some fine editing in there. And I can pinch it back. If you need to edit, click it one time, then it brings up all your editing options. You can cut, copy, paste, delete. You can loop, which means repeat things over and over again. I'm going to click off that. I'm going to move my click over here. I'm going to move my playhead to the oops, having a little bit of my fingers sometimes. Since you're doing things so small, move my playhead to the middle. I'm going to click it one time, try to bring up that. If I hit split, there's little scissors. You got to pull it down to do the scissor. So I just chop that right there, and that's how that goes. I can take a tab on the end and move it in, stretch it out, all those kinds of things. If I need to undo anything, there's a little arrow going back on the top right, about 3 in, ding, 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 and I'm back to where I was, okay? So now if I want to make another track, another little piece, little pieces are what you want to be doing, unlike what I'm doing with this video here. You can add a little plus sign, and then I got, going back to that brick wall, here's another track line. I'm going to move my playhead out, I'm going to hit record, I'm going to get the little countdown. Social distancing during the pandemic has forced many into lonely seclusion, but not so for Doe. She has used this time to explore dozens of remote corners of Blackhawk County to use as data points for the research she is perpetually conducting at UNI. Go back to my little brick, and there's my little track, and I have it in there. So now let's go, and I'm going to stop my voice recording and see if I have this. So now I'm going to screen record again, and I'm going to show you that I recorded those tracks straight into GarageBand, but you can also use voice memos. Very easy way to do it. Just record all your voice memos, copy and paste them in. Boom, boom, boom. I think probably that's easier to do than doing it in GarageBand. So what I did was I had a student of mine pretend to be Jane Doe and read a couple lines. So if I go into, first of all, I better turn on my screen recording. Okay, so now I can go into voice memos, except I didn't go to the right spot. Right here on voice memos, Abigail 1.2 and Abigail 1.3. If I click this open, there's a little 3-dot thing. I copy it, and I can go over to GarageBand. I could add another line down below and go back to the brick wall again. So now I've got my 4th line. I'm going to put her probably right in somewhere here. All I have to do then is just click and hold, whoop, and I'll paste, and there she is. Let's see what she has to say, Jane Doe / one of my students.
Look there, it's an eastern tree frog, and it's laying eggs right now.
The reverb there is not quite right. I wonder if it came in with lead vocals instead of the radio ready or narrator, but I'm not going to change it right now. Okay, so then I'm going to move my playhead one more time, and I'm going to add another track line, and this time it's going to be, let me actually double check this. Yep, that's what it was. It was lead vocals. So I have to go radio ready and come back to my brick wall. So what I had before with her, that's how it got messed up. I didn't change to radio ready. I bet even let me double check.
Seclusion, but not so for Doe.
Sure enough, so my voice on the second time I read and the import from her, I forgot to change it back to radio ready or narrator, and that's that horrible 80s synth stuff. So learn from my mistakes. I'm moving the playhead now to where she is going to come in with her next line, and boy, it's so hard sometimes to grab things because it's so tiny and my fingers are not so easy to, oh my goodness, it's just going to be a bugger. So I'm just going to forget it for a bit. Okay, move, oh there we go. Okay, so now I'm coming back to, once again, to see if I can get her second one, which I can. Here it is. I'm copying it, copy, and I'm coming back into GarageBand, and I'm gonna just go right there to that line and paste, and there she is. So I've got all of those tracks in. Pick up, so we laid down some audio tracks. Now we're gonna lay down some music underneath to give it that vibe, give it that whole feeling, give it that tone. And instead of using real music, I am going to go back to turn on my screen capturing, crossing my fingers. I'm going to go back to my voiceovers, and in there, literally this spring during COVID, spent a lot of time walking in the woods and outdoors. So I did recordings of things like out by Sweets Marsh. There was,
I can whip up some spaghetti for me.
oops, that's my wife. But here, these are sandhill cranes, but then there were spring peeper frogs, which would go great with this Jane Doe professor. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to stop now. I probably can come out of voice memos and go straight into GarageBand. And when I get into GarageBand, I can lay down on, let's see, I got a track line down there that's radio ready, unlike the other ones that are lead vocals. And I can, let me just double check something here though. It's not playing. Oops. Oh, gosh.
The pandemic has forced many into lonely seclusion, but not so for Doe. She has used this time to explore dozens of remote corners of Blackhawk County to use as data.
I pulled it off of that lead vocal line so that way I'm not getting the, why is it?
As she notches another discovery onto her
Okay,
list
here we go.
of 2020
Because I'm gonna add
in the net.
another line here. I'm gonna make it be radio ready. Okay, and I'm gonna turn that brick on. So now, way down here on the bottom, I'm gonna pull that playhead all the way back and I'm gonna paste in, hopefully, some frogs. Let's just back it up just a little bit just to make sure that it is.
Gnats.
Yep, I can hear the frogs. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to move my playhead down to the end where it snaps right there. And I'm going to loop it. So now what that did was it made it go all the way through that story. And when I pull my playhead, boy, it's getting hard with all this.
As UNI biology professor Jane Doe creeps stealthily along the edge of a backwater slough in Katowski Woods, sapphire and emerald damselflies are darting through the mists along the woody bank as they scoop midges and gnats in mid-flight. The air has forced many into lonely seclusion, but not so for Doe. She has used this time hunting at UNI.
This year after COVID, I did miss a lot of class time, but I found almost twice as much time to make amazing discoveries in my field research.
Okay, awesome. So there's the story. A couple things here though. If you want to take this frogs, if they're too loud, you can always take this and turn the volume up and down if it's overpowering your vocals. Another thing you can do is, if you click on that track line, you can get automation. What automation is, it sounds complicated, but up above there, first there's a little, looks like a connect the dot thing. Click that one time till it turns yellow. Well, click it there. Click it till it turns yellow. And then up above there's a little pencil. You've got to drag that to the unlock. And then you can hit little points in your story so that if you want it to start loud and then get softer and then down the line get, so I can hit done here. I can come back and try playing this again. Maybe move my playhead all the way back. So it's loud,
As UNI biology
but then
professor
the sound goes down.
stealthily along the
So
edge
there's
of a
that.
backwater slough.
So we've played with all these things, and now the last step for us is to export this. So simply all I have to do is up in the upper left hand corner, if I click that little down arrow, hit my songs, and I can then, oops, go to my songs. I'm gonna call this, rename it like, I don't know, final would be good. Hit done. I click on it one more time and I can drag that up and hit share. And now I can go to song and I can once again export that just like I did before. I could put it into voice memos. And there's a whole story all mixed together, flattened into one file, hopefully in my share file, as it exports right now. Might take a little bit because it had a little more to it than what I did before. And then I'll hit save. And if all things go well, if I come back to that voice memos, actually I'm going to try to stop my screen recording, and now I'll just play it for you. You don't have to see me go to voice memos. Final, there it is.
As UNI biology professor Jane Doe creeps stealthily along the edge of a backwater slough in Katowski Woods, Sapphire and Emerald Dam.
Awesome, and there it is. How to do an audio story in Garageband, all on your cell phone. I hope you picked up some tips. I made lots of mistakes. Right now it's 8:30 Central Time. I started this morning. I probably put about 6 to 8 hours into putting this together using GarageBand. Very simple. I made some mistakes, but I learned from it and could easily redo it. Using screen capture on an iPhone, there are some bugs. Okay, but we got it done. So if you have any questions or concerns, just you can ask me in the description, in the comments below, and I can try to reply to them as best as I can. I'm learning right along with you. Not an expert, but this ought to get the job done. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.